Hello, and welcome to episode number 2 of Boutique Talk. My name is Jake Boston, otherwise known as Steelbook Obsessed on all your major social media platforms. And if you want to listen to all things physical media related, then you've come to the right place. Every week I'll have a new guest to talk about one of their favorite physical media releases. And today I've got 1/3 of the Rad Pack and 100% of my killer podcast. It's Mao.
Ah!
How's it going, lady?
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk all things Blood Diner because what did you do to me?
Well, I hope I horrified you. I hope I made you laugh. I hope I don't know, I introduced you to some interesting characters.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot to dig into with this movie. I think we'd have to start at the beginning, but before we start at the beginning of the movie, I kind of want to get started with the beginning of your physical media collecting. Like, how did you start doing it, and how has your evolution looked to now?
My physical media collecting, like in the very beginning, like
Oh
my
yeah.
first movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta blame my momster for that. I call her my momster because she's my mom, but she's also the one that introduced me to all the monsters. So she's my momster. She was a physical media collector. She collected VHSs and all that kind of stuff. But back in the day, we didn't call it physical media collecting. We called it building our home video library.
Right.
It
Mm-hmm.
was more about having the movies that you love and being able to watch them whenever you want. Um, so that's what we did, and she had a bunch of movies, and she got me into buying movies, and we had a local video store. We'd go rent movies every Friday night. It was called Movies America. It's sadly not there anymore.
Just like every other one, unfortunately. It's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. And my mom was very open. She was very open to letting me rent whatever I wanted. And
Nice.
those horror titles had beautiful covers.
Mm-hmm.
So I rented a lot of horror movies, and that's kind of where it started. And I just kind of I always bought the movies I loved. It's not my collecting isn't then how it is now, where I buy like all the things.
Mm-hmm.
It was I always just wanted the movies that I loved. So after VHS came DVD, I rebought all my favorites on DVD, and then
Mm-hmm.
after DVD on Blu-ray, I rebought all my favorites on Blu-ray, and now I just kind of buy everything.
It's kind of nice that your mom was the one that got you into it. I know my parents, they just bought like random movies they'd find at the grocery store type deal. Like it was not a big ordeal at all. It's just like, oh, I'm going to buy groceries and this movie's here. Let's add it. I think I had like 20 movies growing up altogether.
Oh, really? Well, my
Hmm.
mom just loved movies, so we always went to the movie theater. We always went to Movies America on Fridays. She would always buy movies. We rewatched movies a lot. So like my childhood nostalgic movies, I watched them a lot.
Hmm.
Cuz we would just watch the same movies all the time because those were the ones we had in our home video library.
Did your mom call it that too?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
because so back in the day, and I don't remember what movie it was, if it was maybe it was House Sitter, that Steve Martin movie,
Yeah,
but there was like a commercial before the movie started where it talked about building your home video library.
I
So then
see.
that's just like we
That's
just
tough.
kind of used that.
Right. No, I think my mom just bought a whole bunch of kids' tapes to get us out of her hair for a couple hours. Like, yeah, just throw a tape in, you'll be fine.
That's fair.
Yeah. Um, so that's how your collecting kind of started. How about boutique collecting? When did you start figuring out that that was a thing, and why did it start clicking with you?
Well, my boutique collecting didn't happen until way later because like I said, I always wanted my favorite movies. And then I noticed kind of around DVD time where I was trying to rebuy all my favorite movies, and some of them I just couldn't get my hands on, and I was like, why can't I find these movies?
Hmm.
So the internet was being used more, and I'm old. The internet was being used more and more, and so I started looking online for movies, and I was able to, like, buy some movies and have them shipped to my house, and I would find later that some of them came like, I had a release of Night Watch from Australia, and I was like,
Hmm.
"How did I even get this?"
Did
You
that even
know?
play in your player?
Yeah, it
Oh,
did.
wow.
I actually found out later I have a couple of those Australian releases, and I'm like, "How did I even get these?" I just ordered them online. I don't even remember where I ordered them from.
Mhm.
This was, like, pre-Amazon boom, you know?
Right.
Um, so then, when I started collecting Blu-rays, I noticed that some of my Blu-rays were the same label as some of my DVDs. So I have
Mm.
like some old DVDs that are like Kino Lorber and stuff like that. And then so I started noticing it then, but I didn't think to go to the Kino Lorber website
Mhm.
and, like, look it up or anything like that, but it really wasn't until I jumped on YouTube and became a part of this community that I actually started looking at my collection, and I'm like, "Dang, I have a lot of these boutique labels." So then I just started putting them together. I'm like, "You guys go together. You guys go together."
Right.
And then I found Scream Factory and it was all over.
That's the one I started out with too. As soon as I found like, I got big into horror in, like, 2018. I was a very late bloomer to that genre, and I started collecting movies that seemed interesting to me. Like, 4 or 5 of them were Scream Factory. I'm like, "What is this?" And then it's just been a snowball effect after that. I just kept on digging further and further.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, Scream Factory really ruined a lot of pockets, I feel like.
Made my collection better. I think that's what I like to it made me as a collector more advanced in knowing what to look for.
Yep.
Because when I first started, it was just I put everything alphabetically because that was the easiest way that I could find things, and then I noticed what a boutique label was, and it just I'm like, "I wanna show off all of these because these are so amazing."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Boutique labels are really where it's at. They put the most care into their releases.
I think so too. I know that, Bob and I talked about Synapse Films last week. I was very happy that you wanted to pick a Vestron video title. Because I feel like Vestron is known for being kind of like the budget boutique, I guess. Like a lot of their new releases are very cheap, but they put a lot of special features into those suckers.
Mhm. Yeah, I think they put a lot of care into their releases. They didn't always used to be this cheap though. I feel like when it first started with those first few, they were more on the expensive side, more 20, $30, but now they're very, very, very reasonable.
Right.
Most of the time they're like 11 bucks or 12
Yeah.
bucks.
No, if I can buy Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 through 5 for $12, yeah, I'm just gonna instantly buy that as an impulse buy for sure.
Mhm, and they're very sporadic too. They don't drop a lot of stuff very often. I think we just now got, an announcement for a new release, and it's been, what, a couple months since the last
Yeah.
one?
Blue Steel. I'm
Blue
so
Steel,
excited
yeah.
about that movie. Yeah.
I've
Well,
never seen that
I'm a
one.
big Catherine Bigelow fan. So when that got announced, what was that, yesterday, 2 days ago? I was very
Mhm.
excited.
Yeah,
Um,
I was excited to see Jamie Lee Curtis on it, so I was like,
yeah.
"Okay, I'll watch this one."
No, it's a hidden gem just because it hasn't really been released that often. I don't think it's ever gotten a Blu-ray release. I wanna say it got a DVD. I know it got a VHS for sure, but yeah, I'm very excited for a lot more people to get their hands on that title and see what a great movie it is.
Yeah, and they will too, because when Vestron drops a new one, people love to buy them.
Absolutely, especially if it's gonna be $12. Why not?
Mhm, and it comes with that squishy slipcover.
Yes. Yes, it does. Okay, we're talking a lot about Vestron. I'm gonna throw an introduction video. I'm gonna do their old school introduction, and then I'll go morph into like their 2016 when they started releasing Blu-rays intro. So here's the old 80s one.
Perfect.
Mwah! Perfect. I love this.
Nice.
It's like peak 80s synthesizer doing crazy flashing lines just because it looks awesome.
Yep, that was very 80s.
Love that so much. Okay, I'm gonna throw on the 2016 one because they kind of have that aesthetic, except very mid 2010s. You'll see what I mean. Here we go. With like the
Yes.
mid-credit, just like shut off power thing at the end, whatever those robot arms are doing,
Right, very high tech.
Yeah. There have been like 4 or 5 different intro screens to Vestron video too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if you've dug into a lot of the older stuff. How does your collection look on Vestron? Do you know how many titles you have off the top of your head?
I have all of them so far.
Oh,
So
really? Aren't there 30? Is that
30, I think
Yeah.
there's 30, yeah, so I have all 30 of them.
Do you feel the need to pick up any new title just to kinda complete the set?
Yeah, I got to that point. I didn't mean to get to that point, but Vestron is one of my favorite boutique labels just because they release my kind of movies, like
Sure.
the cheesy B movies. Like a lot of the ones that they've released already were ones that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid. There's some in there that I haven't seen before and I'm not really sure, but I'm told I'm going to love them all. But I made it a mission to get them all
Mhm.
and get them all with slipcovers. Maximum Overdrive was a tough one.
I randomly found that like, I just started collecting for Vestron maybe a year ago. I don't think I need to be a completionist by any means, but I definitely want the slipcovers for all of them. I don't know why my brain works like that, but it just does. If they all have one and one of them doesn't, that's gonna drive me nuts. I can't do that.
Yep. That was me forever. I had all of them, and then there was Maximum Overdrive just staring at me. Luckily, Bin Buster, who is another collector in the community,
Mhm.
he found it and he got it for me, so he
Yeah.
saved my Vestron collection.
The physical media community is very tight knit. Like if you make good connections, they will be able to have your back no matter what. I love it so much.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely love it too. Everyone is so kind and so
Yes.
helpful.
Mhm.
One day I'll be able to help somebody that has helped me, but
Sure.
I feel like I haven't ever, like, had something I could give to
Oh,
somebody,
you
you know?
helped me. You helped me, Mel, when we met up
Oh,
live.
yeah.
Yeah, we or IRL or whatever you want to call it. You had a Synapse title that I didn't have, Satan's Little Helper. I grabbed that sucker
That's
right away.
right,
So
that's
yeah.
right.
I think
Yes, I did it!
yeah, there you go. I think we swapped that for Evil Dead VHS, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I still love that too.
Good.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I think I have around 10-ish titles of Vestron video. I'll go over them one by one if you just want to throw out your, I don't know, sentence, 2 sentence synopsis of what you think of the movie,
Yeah,
if
let's
you've
do
seen
it.
them. Okay.
Hopefully, I've seen it.
First one I have is the first one that ever came out, Chopping Mall.
Yes! Chopping Mall. That was, like, my first robot serial killing movie. It all takes place in a mall, and these robots are meant to protect the mall, but then they kinda go a little crazy, and they start slashing kids. I love this one. This one is
Okay.
straight nostalgia from my childhood.
I would say probably all but 2 or 3 of these movies I haven't seen, and this is one I have not seen yet.
Oh, really? I would
Honestly,
be interested to know what you think of that one now, because I've noticed a lot of the movies that I absolutely love from my childhood, and they're, like, my ride or die. People who see them now are kind of
mhm.
like, "Bleh." You know? That's not their cup of tea.
See, I'm a big fan, like, I was born in '89, so I'm barely an '80s baby. I count myself as that, but the more older I get, the more I like digging into that year, that decade. And
Mhm.
I just like the aesthetic. I'm a huge fan of practical effects, which we'll talk more about on the movie that we talk about because there are some goodies in there. Oh my goodness. Cannot wait to talk about that. Yeah, I'm looking
Yes.
forward to seeing it. And honestly, I bought 1 and 2. Number 2 is Blood Diner, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I bought both of
Yep.
these from the same person on eBay last week because I told you could pick any movie you wanted. That's the one you
Nice.
wanted, and it just gave me an excuse to buy it. So that's all you need sometimes.
Well, I'm glad you were able to find it and with the slip. Chopping Mall too, because some of the slips are hard to get
That's what I hear.
come
Mhm.
by, nowadays, but Barbara Crampton's in Shopping Mall too, so that's a good selling point
Gotcha.
as well.
Yes, it is. Okay, let's see here. The next one is one of the more recent ones I got just because it had a slipcover that I really liked. It's not part of the Vestron video slipcover, but it is the Vestron video release. That's The Gate.
Oh, yeah. The Gate has one of my favorite, scenes in it. It's like there's this huge monster and then it falls and it splits into a million little monsters.
Okay. I haven't seen this one either. I need to get on it.
Yeah, that one is really good. It has it's like a gateway horror for kids kind of, because it's like it's horror, but
Awesome.
not, terribly scary. A lot
Sure.
of people that I know watched that was like their first horror movie that they ever watched.
Ooh. Okay. Since you said that, I'm gonna just jump right to it. My first horror movie that I ever watched when I was 13 years old. I was scared to death of so many things when I was a child. But when my 13th birthday party finally happened, everybody's like, "Why don't you pick a horror movie, you coward? Just do it." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." I remember
Jeez.
going to the Video Warehouse was my rental place of choice back in the day, and the the VHS artwork of just a semi with its grill broken with the wording "Who Made Who" in weird wispy font. Maximum Overdrive.
Mhm.
I love how stupid this movie is.
I know, right? It's amazing, and it's
It's
a
the best.
Stephen King,
Yeah.
adaptation, which is amazing.
When you can kill somebody with a vending machine by shooting like soda bottles at them, I'm in.
Oh,
And
yes.
I
I
was a
love
big
that one too.
I was a big Marvel guy when I was a kid, so just seeing the Green Goblin's face on anything, I was like, that was when you did not get superhero anything on when you
Mhm.
were watching a movie. So I was very pumped to see that. I was a big Mighty Ducks fan, so Emilio Estevez
Oh,
in
Emilio
here.
Estevez, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a young Steven Dorff is in The Gate too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so these movies are chocked full of young famous people.
Yeah. Maximum Overdrive had the voice of Lisa Simpson in there too, and it sounds exactly like her.
Mhm.
Yardley Smith, I believe, is her name. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
hmm
Yeah,
And I like
so
those
that one
movies.
fits you. So far, you're pulling bangers.
Awesome. I hope so. There might be a couple snoozers in here. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't seen the majority of these, but I'm a steelbook collector. So when they started re-releasing their Vestron video titles on Steelbook, and their first one was Maximum Overdrive, I had to hop on it.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
personally, since I only have like 10 of these movies, I'm hoping that this one sold well enough to where they continue to re-release all of their older titles on Steelbook form. I would be so happy if they did that.
Yep, and then you could have a complete steelbook collection.
I'd be okay with that. Yeah, that's the route I'll go.
That release is kinda controversial though, because people weren't very happy that they released a steelbook of that, because it's Blu-ray too, right? It's
It
not
is.
4K,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if it was 4K, you'd be okay with it?
I mean, I didn't have a problem with I didn't
Yeah.
pick it up because I have all the slips,
Mhm.
so I probably won't pick up any of the steelbooks, but I didn't have a problem with it. There's a market for it. It would
Sure.
have been better if it was 4K, just to give people a reason to double dip or something, if
Right.
they wanted to.
Yeah. No, I think the Steelbook line is for newer fans of Vestron Video. So if you are happy with the stuff you don't need to buy it, and that's okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, the next
I agree.
good. The next release I've seen the first in this franchise, and I've seen the most recent in this franchise. I haven't seen the middle 2 or 3. I wanna say there's 3 other ones. This is Candyman: Day of the Dead.
Oh, yes. See, that one gets a lot of flack, but I actually don't mind it. It has its moments. It's
Okay.
definitely the worst in the franchise, but it's not that terrible, but I enjoyed that one
See,
for what it was.
I haven't heard good things about the second one, Farewell to something. I
Farewell
can't
to the
remember the title.
Flesh.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I see that one is alright too. I didn't mind. I mean, obviously the first Candyman is the best one, but I
Right.
mean, back then when they were pumping out sequels, that it goes for any franchise that the first is normally the best one, but
Mhm.
they're all decent, but that one for sure is the last in the line.
Good to know. Tony Todd is amazing in that first one. Oh my god.
Yeah, he really is, and I really dig the artwork that they did on that release
It
too.
looks
It was
great.
yeah, that slipcover is beautiful.
Agreed.
Mhm. See, that's what
Is
I love about these too, is some of them have original artwork, and the slipcovers still look amazing. I don't know what it is, if it's that silver Vestron label at the top that just makes them pop or what, but all the slipcovers are just really nice.
I think it's just because they get new art to go along with the release because every single one has amazing artwork. I don't know if it's one artist or multiple artists that do it, but Yeah, it encapsulates the franchise with new artwork, and I think it always looks great.
Mhm.
Okay, the next one, I have not seen any of these, but I watched a documentary on Robert Englund, and this franchise got brought up, and it made me really want to watch Wishmaster because I didn't know that there were so many horror icons. I didn't know anything about this franchise at all, and it looks amazing to me.
Yeah, so that is one that I need to do a rewatch because I seen the first one. I don't know if I've seen the rest of them or not, but I haven't seen that first one years.
Sure.
Years and years, like, probably since I was a squirt watching my mom's VHSs is probably, like, the last time I've watched those, so I would have to do a rewatch on them, but I don't remember them being bad. I remember enjoying them. I bought them.
Right.
I was confident.
No, the first one looks so good. I contemplated watching this for like October time frame. Decided to go a
Oh,
different route. I'm gonna watch a whole bunch of anthology horror films instead. But I think Wishmaster might just sneak in there somehow if I have enough time.
there you go.
Yeah. This is a horror movie that I've seen. My wife and I saw this when we first started dating, and it was a very awkward situation that happened between like my parents and me when they saw us watching this. It was bizarre. The Dentist,
Ah!
1 and 2. They came in during a very awkward time, and it was just an awkward situation. It was
That is not the one I thought you would pull, but
I hate
those
the
are
dentist
fun
anyway.
movies.
I hate going to the dentist. Just the drills in your mouth and the sound, absolutely hate it. So it makes sense to make it into a horror movie. I've seen the first one. I have not seen the second.
Mhm. It's always those plastic things that they put in your teeth and they tell you to bite down when they, like, take the X-ray. I hate those. They're always way too big for your mouth and they hurt.
Yeah. For me, it's the scraping. Oh, when you hear like
Oh.
your teeth. Oh my God. I just went to the dentist last month and I dreaded it just because of that. Like, oh, you got
Oh,
something
really?
stuck in here. Oh, it's terrible. I hate it so much.
Or when they're spraying your teeth with that water gun and it's just, like,
Yeah.
splashing all
Yep.
over your face.
You think they'd hate that too. Yeah. Doesn't seem fun for anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. This one I know 0% about, and that is Sundown, the Vampire in Retreat.
Okay, so this one, I hadn't seen this one until Vestron released that one.
Okay.
And I bought it just to buy it, and I watched it, and it is so fun. It's definitely cheesy.
That vampire right there, that looks fun. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is so fun. Like, the movie opens up and there's, like, these 3 old I think there's 3 of them. There's either 2 or 3 old men just sitting on this bench with this umbrella, and they're, like, bantering back and forth at each other, making fun of each other, and it's funny because they're I don't know, it's cheesy and it's fun. And I'm really sad that I didn't watch that one, like, back in the day.
Gotcha. So I forgot to grab 2 of them. 3 of them. I'm just realizing. I had Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 through 5. That's in my Christmas section. I forgot to grab that. Those are fun sequels.
Mhm.
I forgot to grab the newest one that I just bought today. My Best Friend is a Vampire.
Yes, that one
Yeah,
is fun. I love that one too.
I've never seen it, but that's like my vibe of like cheesy 80s comedy like there's a certain mood you have to be in to watch that movie, or even if you're just feeling down, this one to pop in to make you feel good.
Yeah, it really kinda reminds me of My Boyfriend's Back. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That old one. It reminds me of that movie even though it's not the same because that one's like a zombie, this one's a vampire, but
Sure.
I don't know, it's kinda has the same feel to it, but it's super fun. I love that one too.
Gotcha. And then I want to say the last one I had was Little Monsters.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes,
very good.
classic.
Forgot to grab that one too though.
Classic childhood
Yep,
movie.
that is one that I watched as a kid and absolutely loved.
Yep, me too.
I also have a couple. I collect VHS tapes as well. I had a few
Oh.
Vestron video VHS tapes.
Oh,
Yeah. And I
nice.
didn't realize I did until I kept on just digging through. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize Vestron put that out. But I'll just go through these really fast. First one I had was Mad Max.
Mhm. Nice.
Yep. Next one. Have you seen this movie? Gleaming the Cube. I love this movie with a passion so much. Love me a
Are you
cheesy skateboarding
serious?
movie, and there's not enough of them out there.
I have that VHS too. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that movie.
I wonder if Lionsgate still has the rights to this because they need to release it if they do.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder that they don't, because why wouldn't you release that?
Correct. You're digging deep in the Vestron vault for some of the releases they've come out with, and you haven't released Gleaming the Cube. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and if they don't do it Vestron, I will never forgive them.
Right. I know they just came out with a 4K for this movie, so I know they don't own the rights anymore to Live and Die in LA. William
Mm-hmm.
Friedkin. Have not seen this movie, but I've wanted to ever since he passed away. And then, yeah, probably one that I've already talked about. I got The Gate.
Yes! Oh
Yeah.
my
I need
gosh.
to watch
Look
it
at
because
that.
those creatures look crazy.
Oh my god, it's such a fun movie. It's kind of long, but it's fun.
Nothing wrong with long. If it's long and enjoyable, I'll be okay with it. Yeah. You know
For
what movie
sure.
wasn't long but felt like it was both the longest thing ever, but I did not want it to end? That was Blood Diner.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about this, Mel, and I know you do too. I think your second episode was about this movie, so the fact that my second episode is as well, very
Oh,
360
that's
moment.
perfect.
Yeah. I'm gonna show a trailer of the movie first.
Oh
Just a
boy.
quick 60-second spot, and then we will dive deep into this sucker.
Okay.
Let's play this trailer.
In my travels, I've sampled some of the most exquisite foods the world has to offer. And that's why they've asked me to tell you all about a charming new eatery located right downtown. You can see the atmosphere is lovely. But, of course, the finest attribute of this quaint cafe is the marvelous cuisine. Only the freshest natural ingredients are selected.
I'd give my right arm for that secret recipe.
Your gracious hostess will direct you to your table, where you will dine as if there's no tomorrow. This Epicurean haven is called Blood Diner.
You got that right, goofball.
The Blood Diner. First they greet you, then they eat you. No one under 17 admitted.
What?
First they greet you, then they eat you.
It's a great tagline.
I know, it's perfect.
I miss when they used to make trailers like that. Just the majority of the trailer is not from the movie, but it's just like throwing tidbits in there. And this movie, I don't know how you market it otherwise, because you can't show 3/4 of what they have.
This is true.
It is
This is
bizarre. So tell me about your history of Blood Diner and why you needed me to watch this movie.
Well, it's one of my favorite movies. I love cheesy B horror movies, and it doesn't get any cheesier than this one. But yeah, this movie makes me laugh. It has great practical effects. It has very charming characters, even though you're not supposed to like them, but you do. And some of the background history of the movie is pretty interesting as well. I think after I did my podcast episode about it and I learned all the things, I just kind of loved it even more after that. But it's just super fun. If I can have a good time watching a movie, those are the ones that stick with me forever. And I had so much fun.
Yes, this movie was a blast. That is for damn sure.
Well, and it's like the more you watch it, the more different stuff that you see every time. You know what I mean? Because it was directed by Jackie Kong, who is a woman, which I was surprised to find out that this movie was directed by a woman, because you wouldn't think so. But she tried to put 3 layers of action in almost every scene. So you have like what's going on, like right up front in the foreground if it's 2 people talking, but then you look behind them and there's like all kinds of stuff going on back there. They, people fighting or people walking by or eating or whatever. There's just like all kinds of stuff happening in every single scene, and it's just a feast for the eyes.
The main thing that I noticed just for that instance is when they're in like the police precinct and they're walking in that hallway and there's randomly a fight in the back where like they're stabbing a guy. It's very bizarre, but that's what my eyes were drawn to instead of like the dialogue that was happening in front.
Yep, exactly. And what pulled me into this movie, and just like right away I was like, yep, I'm gonna love this movie. It's like right away in the beginning when they're in the they're in like the cemetery or something, and the security guard comes and they start to fight, and then one of the characters picks him up and throws him, and it's clearly
A dummy.
a
Yes.
dummy. It's
Uh-huh.
like it couldn't be more absurd. And I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna love I'm gonna love this movie. I just can tell."
Okay, so the first 5 minutes, I did not know what this movie was gonna be about because it started with, like, a VO crawl. Like, it was like fucking Star Wars or something. The first 2.5 minutes were just talking about how serious the movie was, and the VO crawl stopped halfway through just so the narrator could read everything that was on it. And then there
Yeah.
was, like, a, Halloween POV of the killer going on, like, "Is this a very serious movie? I don't know where this is going." And then this quote happened, and once this quote happened, I laughed so fucking hard, and I'm like, "I don't know what I'm walking into, but this might be for me." Here's the quote. A suspect in the Happy Time All Girls Glee Club slaying has fled the scene and has managed to elude the police. He is armed and dangerous and has been spotted at the West Side area armed with a meat cleaver in one hand and his genitals in the other. What? I did not know. I was not expecting that at all. So when that happened, oh my God, was I so happy and like, okay, I'm into this. And then not even a couple minutes later, their uncle comes knocking in like it's an 80s music video with like the light shining through the door while he's hacking through it. This
Mm.
movie is wild.
I know, and it's like they present it like he's some crazed lunatic just out there running around, and like he's breaking into this house and he's hacking down the door, and then he walks in and the kids are just like, "Uncle Anwar!" It's like, wow,
Right.
way to make an entrance to your friggin' family's home. He's carrying his genitalia still.
I could not believe that happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm more on board with this than I thought I was going to be. Like, that's my type of humor. So dumb, it's funny.
I know. I still laugh about pretty much everything in this movie. It is dumb. It is very dumb, but
Yeah,
it's
but I
very
love dumb.
entertaining.
Yeah, I love dumb. If you don't love dumb, please don't watch this because there's a lot more where that came from. My goodness.
Oh, yeah.
The voiceovers too, like the cops at the very beginning, I know that's not their voices, or the big guy who's a vegetarian who's like, I've never had a burger like this before. Like that does not sound like his
Mhm.
voice. What's the voice? His voice and his mouth did not match up at all.
Well, and this movie had an incredibly low budget. It had like I think it was maybe 300,000.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think was the budget for this movie, and like even the two main characters each only got paid like it was something ridiculous, like
It was
$200 or
yeah,
something.
there's a documentary on here which is a lot of talking heads, but they edit it very well. It's like a 5-part documentary on this
Mhm.
Blu-ray. It was a $330,000 budget. They had 3 weeks to shoot. The main 2 leads, those 2 guys, $250.
Yep.
That's all they got paid. That's nuts.
That is nuts. It is
Mhm.
ridiculous, but they did a hell of a job.
Yeah. No, they're memorable. I will say that.
George was my favorite. He was like the shy, silent
Right.
brother that just was
Mhm.
always like doing ridiculous stuff throughout the whole movie.
What is, like, engrossed in my mind is him driving that car over that guy, like, 20 times, and just his goofy face going like this when he's doing it.
That was like the most ridiculous throw-in ever too, because
Yes.
it didn't really move the plot along at all because he was literally on his way to go get this chick who was
Yeah.
supposed to be the one that they were going to sacrifice,
Mhm.
or they needed some of her organs or something like that. And he just kind of comes across this guy on a motorcycle and he's just like bouncing around in his van and he just decides to like run him over, but the guy won't die.
Very Looney Tunes-esque out of nowhere too. It's so bizarre.
I always loved it too because George is supposed to be like this wrestling fanatic, right?
Right.
Like he's always in
Mhm.
the restaurant and he's cooking and he's watching wrestling and he's beating up patrons of the restaurant all the time. But
Mhm.
he literally gets his ass handed to him every time he fights somebody in real life in
Right.
this movie.
Especially when he gets in the ring with little Jimmy Hitler
Yeah.
What an amazing name. Love that for a wrestling name. He's got the mustache and everything. This movie has
Right?
a weird, like, Hitler Nazi overtone with that
All
and, like,
over
the two
it,
guys
didn't it?
playing in the music at the very end. So
Yeah.
bizarre.
It was all over this movie, but I'm pretty sure when I was doing my original research on this movie that little Jimmy Hitler was an actual wrestler.
Yeah.
Whether it was, like, Backyard or something like that, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he actually was.
Yeah, he was an actual wrestler, and he was, like, hurting that main actor. Like, he was throwing him around for real, and he was very sore at the end of the day. Like, yeah, that did not sound like
Yeah.
a fun shoot or worth the $250 he was paid.
Yeah, maybe
Terrible.
not.
Yeah. Well, I could just keep on throwing out random pinpoints if you want me to, because there's so much to talk about this movie.
Yeah, I
We
mean, go ahead because I have fun facts about a lot of things in this
perfect.
movie.
We talked about, I'm gonna jump all over because that's how my brain works anyway. We talked about the very ending with the band playing the monster, like Sheetar. Oh my god.
Sheetar, yeah, she's an
She's
Egyptian goddess.
she's amazing. And
I know.
if you liked The Thing and the jaws opening up like when he was doing the CPR paddles, but you want it with boobs, watch this,
Mhm.
because that's what it is. And like the opening of the chest looks like a vagina with teeth. It is crazy.
I was
It is
just gonna
nuts.
say, I wasn't sure if I could say that on here, but I was like, yeah, it very much so looked like a tummy vagina with teeth that just like
It's bizarre. It is very strange. And like she's oozing out this green, very thick pus out of like her very sharp teeth. Bizarre imagery, but I loved it. It reminded me a lot of like Big Trouble from Little China a little bit. That
Yeah, a
ending
little bit because
scene.
they had like a lot of lasers at the end too.
Yeah, shooting
And
lightning out of her
they
hands.
the whole thing was that they needed to sacrifice a virgin to her so that she could be mortal immortal forever and they succeeded.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Which was kind of sad because like you travel through the whole movie with Michael and George, who are the two brothers, the two main characters. And once you get to the end, they just give no shits about killing them off. They don't give them any time in the light to be like, "Oh, this is sad." No, they're just like gone. And then they're supposed to sacrifice this virgin woman to
Mhm.
Sheetar, and it gets foiled by the police. But then she ends up eating George, and then at the end, like they don't really explain to you what happens. They just kind of show you what happens.
Mhm. That no
Which
budget, that's where it really shines in this.
Yeah, but it's brilliant because she's walking down the street, she's beautiful, she has this, like, gorgeous red dress on, and she, gets in this car with this amazing douchebag, but it like,
Talking about his sausage. Oh
Yeah.
my god. So the
Yeah,
lines there are so many lines in here that are
that was one of
quotable
my
and
favorite lines too.
ridiculous.
I forget what he says, he's
Me
like,
too.
"Before I offer you up this
So yeah,
my
pretty
amazing
yeah,
sausage," or
pretty
something.
much like, yeah, it's so bizarre. My goodness.
Uh, but you're left to know that George was a virgin and she ate him, so now she's gonna be immortal and walk the earth forever.
Right. Yeah, you kinda get gay overtones with him throughout the movie, and it's funny that,
Yeah.
like, pretty much a vagina with teeth is what does him in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He definitely, wasn't into the ladies because they're supposed to kill all of these, women and
Mhm.
take pieces of them to make Sheetar, and he just was, like, not interested in any of them.
Yeah, they met this couple of girls at a club and bring them back to the restaurant, and he has to make out with one of them, does not wanna be there whatsoever.
Mhm.
Thank God
That's
a
my
hush
favorite
puppy
part
head.
of this movie.
Yeah, the hush puppy head?
Yeah, when they batter that woman's head and fry it, and then
It's
it's like a giant
insane.
hush puppy, but it has earrings on.
She wants to do something kinky, so she gets battering all over her naked body,
Yep.
and she dies by putting her head in an air fryer. It's in there for like 20 seconds. She gets out of it somehow alive, and her head is a giant hush puppy with her earrings still showing in on the hush puppy. It's hilarious. Chops the head off. The head goes and interrupts another couple that's in there with Michael and the other girl. So bizarre.
Yep.
This movie's
She
nuts.
literally looks like Gary Busey from The Ginger Dead Man. Have you seen that movie?
I have. I haven't watched it in a long time, but yeah.
That's what her head always reminds me of, is his freaking gingerbread head.
It's nuts. That
It's
part's
amazing.
nuts. The part that I laughed at the most was Stumpy Stan.
Oh my
He's
god.
driving
Stan the
away with
Puppet
no
Man.
hands. I wish I could. I found that clip on YouTube and I thought about pulling it, but I didn't want like the blood. I just didn't want to deal with it. But the fact that he's driving away in his getaway car, trying to get away from the two murderers with no hands and just blood squirting out on the windshield while he's trying to drive away and he can't grab the driving steering wheel. It's amazing.
I forgot about that part. Yeah, he gets both of his hands cut off and he just drives off and he's like running into everything and then he wrecks, right? Doesn't
Yes.
he wreck or
Mhm.
something?
And that's how they get him. Mhm.
I call him Stan the Puppet Man because he always has that weird puppet with him.
Yeah, and that was Jackie Kong. That was her throw-in. Like it was just going to be a normal person, and they didn't really have the budget, and they didn't have an extra person to throw in there. So she's like, "Can we just make this guy a puppet?" And
Yeah,
it's a lot
well,
more
and
creepy that
she
way. It's bizarre. Like I don't. This shouldn't work, and it kind of doesn't work. But it's very unique that it's in this movie, and this movie's full of those type of weird ass moments.
yeah, and she thought it portrayed loneliness more than if he had like a human counterpart,
Mhm.
because he was like a weird dude and nobody wanted to eat at his restaurant because his food sucked and stuff. But a lot of the really good behind the scenes stuff is like this movie is very, it seems very male driven. It doesn't shine women in a very good light, but it was directed by a woman and
Right.
it was written by a man named Dookie Fleiswater.
Mhm.
He's an interesting trauma character. He's in a lot of trauma movies. I'm actually friends with a guy. His name's Kevin Von Spur. He's doing a Dookie Fleiswater documentary. It's called the Dookie Doc, which is really interesting. Dookie Fleiswater was a very interesting man if you ever look into his life.
Yeah,
And
he was interviewed in this documentary, and he looks like a character. Like he's got very sharp teeth that point out, kind of looking like a vampire. That name is, of course, you're interested. Like, is
yeah,
that your real name? You had to change that, right?
yeah, he's a wild guy. He's very, very wild. But he wrote the script for this movie and
Yeah.
then Jackie Kong directed it, but she made it an all-woman set. Pretty much every person that worked on that set was a woman. And then they made this very, very male-driven movie.
Yeah. One of the key examples of that is the naked aerobics.
Yeah, the naked aerobics
Oh
class.
my
If you guys
God.
want to see some boobies,
You see a lot of them and moving any way possible. It is
yeah,
crazy.
they're jumping around, they're doing their aerobics thing, and then the boys come in and then they kill them all.
But they come in Reagan masks.
Yep, president
Yeah,
masks.
Ronald
Yep.
and Nancy Reagan. Before Point Break came out, I thought that was very cool. I'm like, because that happens, and that's kind of looking like a different type of movie that they stole from, but maybe the other movie stole from that. And the two main leads gave me very slight Bill and Ted vibes, just like kind of your
Oh, I didn't even
young,
think about that.
a little stupid, but they don't let on how smart they are vibes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that scene was very entertaining as well. But it's kind of sad because the actor that played Michael, Rick Burks, I
Mhm.
think his name was, he actually died shortly after making this movie. I think he only was in like 2 movies after this one, and then he got into a car wreck and passed away. So that was really sad because he was young. He was like
Yeah.
28 or
I
something.
that was in the documentary, and I wanted them to touch more on that because it's really just like a 2-sentence throwaway, and I'm like, "What? How?" I want more details
Yeah.
on this because that's
Well,
shocking and sad.
he was a rock star and he always wanted to just be famous for being a rock star. He was a musician. And Jackie Kong, to save money, um, she didn't want to hire actors to be in the movie. So she literally went out and just looked for people. So Carl Crew and Rick Burks weren't even actors.
Yeah.
And she found Rick Burks at a show at a rock show, and she asked him to be in the movie, and he didn't want to be in it, and she like talked him into it or whatever. But he was with his drummer in the car when it wrecked.
Oh,
So
geez.
yeah, I'm assuming there was probably something going on. I don't know.
Right.
But if you look into Carl Crew's history, he is a very interesting person.
Okay.
So he did this movie. He did a couple of other movies. He was a mortician at one point. He actually met several serial killers, people who ended up being serial killers later. He owns like this freak show bar in LA where he collects freak show collectibles. He actually has like a human mummy in his freak show bar. He owned like one of the museums in LA too, one of the big ones. I forget what it's called, but he's a very interesting person too. And he wants to make a Blood Diner too.
he that's what at the end of his interview in the documentary, he's like, I'm gonna make Blood Diner 2, but it's gonna be in VR because that's the future of cinema. Oh my god.
I was like, how do you even go to watch a virtual reality movie? Like, you have to have like the headsets.
You have to have the headset and just look around. That's not how I want to watch a movie at all. And he said he was going to bring back a lot of the people from the original, and
yeah, he wanted to bring back everyone from the original. Yeah, he's got big dreams. I'll give him that.
Nothing wrong with that, but yeah. Are you wearing a Blood Diner shirt, by the way?
I am.
Here, wait. I'm gonna get out of here. You show this.
So there's Uncle Anwar right there. We haven't really talked about him. I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going. There's Carl. There's Rick.
That's amazing.
It's got stuff going down the sleeves. Yeah, this is one of my favorite shirts. I had to have one of these. It's like cavity colors or something.
Right. Yeah, I think cavity colors. I have like a Carrie t-shirt on. I can never wear this out because people think I'm a psychopath whenever I do. It's just like wearing inside type clothing.
You just wear it and then you put like a denim jacket over it or something.
Hide as much as possible until you are indoors, and then just you let your freak out.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. We haven't really talked too much about Uncle Anwar.
No, he's like the one that started this whole thing. So Uncle Anwar, like, he didn't raise these kids, but he was their uncle, and he was like training them to be these, ritual masters to bring back Shitar, because he attempted it and failed. That's why he had to cut off his own genitalia. Was because instead of killing the women, he was sleeping with them.
Right.
So he had to do that to himself, and then he had to pass it on to his nephews. But then when they're in the cemetery in the beginning, they're digging up Uncle Anwar because they need to resurrect him so he can tell them what to do. But like, his body's all decrepit and stuff, so they just find his brain, which seemed to be perfectly intact after like 20 years.
Another wild Looney Tune moment. First, the headstone says "I'll be back" on it at the very bottom. And then the guard that comes to get them, they hit him in the back of the head with the shovel, and his eyeballs pop out.
Oh my god, I love it.
Oh my! As soon as that, this movie has my comedy chops for sure. Like, so stupid, so Looney Tune-ish.
It's great. It's absolutely great. But yeah, so Uncle Anwar just ends up, they put his brain in a jar and they like bring back his subconscious or something. But yet he has eyeballs.
Yeah. And they vaguely move around.
Yeah, he doesn't have a mouth or anything, but he has eyeballs, and he can like talk to them.
Yeah, I think he taught one of the kids how to do like mind control. So I'm assuming that's how he can talk with his two.
Yeah, cousins. I guess like.
And the mind control thing is like barely brought up. It's just made so that they can kind of mind control the virgin into going certain places. Is the only vibe I got from that.
Yeah.
It's a throwaway gimmick, like, you have to do this, don't think about it, let's go.
Yep. But it's funny too, because the diner in the movie is supposed to be this like vegan or vegetarian diner or whatever that just has like the best food ever. Of course, they're putting people in the food.
They're putting vegetarians in the food.
Yeah, they're putting
vegetarian.
I mean, maybe. That's a good point. But there was a really good scene in that movie where one of the patrons of the diner throws up.
Yes.
So they like
The
rig it.
wrestling move. Yeah, puts him in a chokehold, vomits on everybody. Disgusting.
Yeah. So the problem with it is they didn't tell anybody that that was going to happen when they were filming it. So they
Mhm.
like rigged this tube up, in his face, and it's like it's going to shoot out real food.
Yeah.
And then so it starts shooting everybody in the audience, in the diner, and it hits this woman in the face, and it gets in like her mouth and her eyes and like all of her orifices, and she had no idea it was going to happen. So all of those reactions are 100% genuine for the
Right.
part.
The budget was so low that they used real food, and they waited so long that the food started to spoil. So when they sprayed it on everybody, I mean, it did the job. The shot looks great, but it stunk up the entire place. Right after that scene was done, they cut for lunch and nobody wanted to eat. Just you can't make some of this stuff up, I swear.
I know, it's great. It's absolutely great. They used to call Jackie Kong the Dragon Lady on set because she must have just been terrible, I guess. But
Yeah. Her
I mean, you
behind the
kind of got to
scenes,
be.
she was young when she made this. I don't know how old she was, but she looked no older than 25 when she made this. And this is like, I think her third or fourth movie. I think this was the last movie she ever made, right?
I think so, actually, now that you say that. But God, I always just want to just like, why did you
I
make this
know,
one?
right?
What were you thinking? Like, I'm glad, but
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to make this magnum opus, but I don't know why this didn't open any more doors for her.
I think it's clear why it didn't, which is unfortunate.
She had a 3-picture deal with Vestron, and after this one came out a couple years later, they went under, and I don't know if anybody else wanted to pick her up.
Yeah, I guess not. It's very unfortunate. It would have been interesting to see where she went from here.
Right.
Maybe Trauma would have been a good place for her to go.
I would think so. I would think Troma would be a fan of naked kung fu scenes.
Yeah.
That shocked me. I was
That was
amazed that that was
scene.
happening.
Yeah, that was one of those scenes I was telling you about where Carl Crew just gets his ass handed to him. Like, he
Right.
gets beat up by a girl. And then he doesn't even kill her. Like, she accidentally gets killed by a thing falling on her head.
Right. I randomly watched the movie No Hard Feelings last night with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, I haven't
And
seen that one yet.
there's a scene in that movie that is very similar to the naked kung fu scene. I will say that. I'm like, is this a weird double feature that I just discovered? So bizarre.
Oh my god.
Like,
I need to see that yet.
fighting naked in the sand and everything. So crazy. I'm like, what? What are the odds of this happening? It was very cool.
Slim to none. But the more you watch it, the more the movie starts making sense too. It's like
Once the
I don't
movie-
know if it's just the weirdness of it makes you think it makes sense, or
Oh,
if
it's
it
weird.
actually does start making sense.
When this movie got over with, I wish that this would have been like the 4th or 5th time I've watched this movie, because I feel like this is a movie that gets better every time you watch it.
It really does, because I had the same reaction you did when I watched it the first time. I was like, what did I just see? What was that? I'm pretty sure I literally watched it again immediately, just like
Yeah.
started it over again and rewatched it. And like I said, you see different stuff every time you watch it. And I just started liking it more and more
Right.
every time I watch it.
Yeah, I know I missed a lot, and I know that like when I was taking notes, it was hard for me to keep up. Like sometimes I would have to like rewind to just see, did I just see what I thought I saw? I want to watch it again. I want to watch it in like with a big crowd who was also like into the joke of the movie. I think that would be
Mhm.
so much fun.
Yeah, this would be a good movie to watch with people who enjoy these kind of movies, because it would be just a riot,
Right. And I think that this movie, it was originally supposed to be a sequel to Blood Feast. Yeah.
Mhm.
From the 60s, which after watching this really makes me want to watch that movie, because I haven't dug into any of that director's works. I know he's done a lot of crazy schlock movies like this. And yeah,
Mhm.
I just want more of this in my life, and I did not think that was going to be my answer when I popped the sucker in. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I think that one is a much different kind of movie, though. I think that one might be a little more serious, and
Sure.
this one ended up being so different that they just decided to call it Blood Diner and tag it something different. And then I think Blood Feast even got its own sequel eventually, like Blood Feast 2 or something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, this one was originally supposed to be a sequel to that, but I think it ended up being different enough to stand on its own.
Yeah, because didn't the writer have the rights to Blood Feast? I thought he did.
I don't remember much
Mr.
about that
Flyswatter.
one.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dookie Flyswatter. What a name, right?
I don't know how you go through life deciding that's the name you want to be remembered by. That makes no sense to me.
Well, he was in a band too, so I think that had
Punk
a
rock,
lot
I'm
to do
assuming.
with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Um, I think that had a lot to do with it, but the interesting thing is he wrote the script while living in, was it the attic of the producer of the movie
Oh, geez.
or something like that? So they kind of wrote it together a little bit, and then they gave it to Jackie Kong. And Dookie Flyswatter was supposed to be in the movie. He was supposed to play Dan the Puppet Man, I believe. But he hadn't secured his contract yet,
Hmm.
and he gave the script to them already, like signed over the script to them, and then they
Mhm.
cast somebody else.
I like. I mean, for these people not being actors, they did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the like the background people, the
Mhm.
stand-ins or whatever you want to call them, a lot of them were just people who would go to these like Rick Burke's rock shows. They were just fans of his band, and they became extras on the movie, and they didn't
Sure.
get paid anything. And
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if I got spoiled food thrown on me and didn't get paid for it, I would be a little bit pissed.
yeah.
But I mean, those extras, like when they're there's a shot of them like serving all of the fried food that they just made from the vegetarians. There's this one extra who's just like grabbing it and like reaching to grab more. Like I don't think your average actor would do stuff like that. So I kind of like the fact that they just found people on the street. They had a blast making a movie, and the movie is still remembered to this day. I like that a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah, I like to think that this movie has a little bit of a cult following, and that it's kind of a cult classic, that like
Yeah.
that in my mind, that's what I want for it. I don't think it's quite there yet, but I'm trying to spread the word.
Well, you spread the word to me, Mel, and now I'm doing the same. I want to have as many people as possible watch this movie, and hopefully it just spreads like a virus and this sucker becomes like, I feel like this could be like on par with like a Rocky Horror Picture Show type thing, like watching it at like
Right?
midnight screenings. This would be a blast. Or like The Room. It's like a mixture of those two movies, like so
Oh
bad
my
it's
god, The
good and
Room.
so bizarre you don't know what you're watching.
Yeah, and that's really the key selling point of this movie. It is literally the weirdest thing you're gonna ever watch.
Agreed, and I'm not mad at it. Like some movies are so bad, like people love The Room because it's so bad it's good. I just don't like it and it's bad. This movie had a lot of fun, and you can tell that they had a good time filming it. And yeah, I fell in love with this movie, and I did not think I would say that going into it. So thank you, Mel. I appreciate you spreading the word.
It was really
Blood
a
Diner.
gamble having you watch this one. Some people, they you either like it or you don't like it,
No, this is like I buy a lot of movies that I haven't seen, so when I pull them off the shelf and it's a blind watch, I'm crossing my fingers that it's something like Blood Diner, a movie that I will remember for a while and that I'll want to recommend to other people.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Thank
Okay.
you for enjoying it.
Yes.
This
No,
would have
I
been a
had an
much
absolute
different
blast with it.
conversation.
Okay, I'm going to go through the comments now. We've had a few people pop up in here, so I kind of want to pop up their comments here. We got Hall & Oates.
Hey, Alan.
Got Mama Blu-ray. Hey, Mama.
Mama.
Got Wilkie's. Hey. A lot of highs. Again, the community is so nice in here. I love it.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that the people, like I'm my biggest following is on TikTok. My main goal with starting this is to bring people from there into this realm, just because the community is so awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Have a crossover.
Right.
Hey, Tiana.
Yeah. Melly Mel, good morning or good evening. I'm still trying to sort my movies. I have a lot of movies to sort as well. My stack here, I'll show you all since you're right here. My stack right over there, it's like 2 stacks, probably close to like 80, 90 movies of stuff I have to put away. Hate it so much.
I like putting away the movies. It's just the lingering is what gets me when they're just sitting around and I have to log them in my like app first
Right.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I always log mine in the app before I put it on that pile, but I make content with me putting it away. And I in like a 90-second video, I can really maximum put away like 8 or 9. So I never put
Mhm.
away enough. And the pile just keeps on growing larger and larger. I need to just like not make a video and put the majority of them away. I'll do that one of these days.
Or just take a day and make like 4 or 5 videos.
I need to. I need to. And my thing is space. Like right now, I have so many movies that like they're starting to branch out into other rooms, and I don't like that. I like everything nice and compact, but I have so much stuff that
Mhm.
that's not an option anymore. It scares me.
Yeah, I just had to custom build some shelves in this room because I can't find these white ones anymore.
What
So
kind
the
are they? Are they IKEA or?
No, they're just these random cheap ones, but, like, they were super popular, so they sold out right away,
Mhm.
and then, they just like, all the stores didn't get any more. Like, you used to be able to get them on Amazon, Walmart.com, you could get them on the weird branded website, which was like VXL or something like that.
Hmm.
But they sold out and they never got them back. I've been watching for them for over a year now,
Yeah.
and you can get them overseas, but overseas won't ship here.
Right.
So you could get these shorties, which I have these 2, and then you can get a taller one that looks just like these. So I have one right here, but I needed another one. So then I ended up just having to custom build some shelves because I couldn't find them. And now it's like I like the custom built ones better. So now I just want to get rid of these and custom build all the shelves.
Mine are custom built, and that's all I want to do is just like have them all look the same. So I totally get the struggle
Mhm.
there. I have a couple in like my storage space that I just have random shelving I found on Facebook Marketplace, just something to store them until I have a better solution. And
Mhm.
I have another room right behind this wall that has a lot of my video game stuff. I'm thinking about like changing stuff out, putting more movies in there. We'll see how it goes. It's
Mhm.
always evolving, I tell you what.
Uh-oh. K-Labs, did you not like the movie?
But that's the thing, like, I won't judge you either way. I really won't, because this is not for everybody, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I feel like you have to be in on the joke a little bit to appreciate what you're watching. Like, if you're not in the mood to watch a movie like this, you're gonna hate it.
yeah, that's a 100% fair statement. You're either gonna be down with it or you're not gonna be down with it.
Right.
Most people, I would assume, are not gonna be down with it.
Mhm. Yeah, I played this trailer for a reason. There was one I think there were 2 TV spot trailers and 2 actual theatrical trailers. I was gonna play one of the theatrical ones, but they had Sheetar showing everything in the trailer, and I'm like, "I can't show this."
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was shocked, like, it's only on there for, like, half a second, and they made it before they thought of people pausing it because that wasn't a thing back in the '80s, but yeah, just her, like, shaking, shooting lightning bolts. I was like, "I can't show that."
Ballsy.
Yeah. Very much so. And this is another movie to where like we can talk about it all day long, but you have to watch it and experience it to really get it. I guess to
And
be
I
in
would
on the
almost
joke.
urge people to watch it more than once. Just watch it more than once. Give it a
Right.
give it a second try if you're not
Yeah.
sure about it.
And the ending turns into like a zombie film out of nowhere too. We didn't talk about that. Just
Oh,
everybody
yeah,
in the
with the
club just
people.
eating people because they take these pills that they think are ecstasy or some type of pill, but it just makes you hungry to eat the stew that
Yeah, the
this movie's
stew
fucking
turns them
crazy.
into, like, yeah. That was a good scene too.
Okay, yeah. We talked somebody into watching Blood Diner. Oh my goodness. I hope you
Yay!
like it, but I'm not promising anything.
Let us know.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. What's Johnny watching in here? Got some Mizzy.
What's up,
Yeah.
Missy? What's up, Johnny?
I pop in, the first thing you hear is Mel talking about genitalia. Perfect timing.
Of course, that's when Bob would pop in.
Yeah, I
When
know
am I
he had
not talking about genitalia?
absolutely, yes. Yeah, when we met up live, Mel, you wouldn't stop talking about it.
I know.
Uh-huh. It's always on your mind.
It's my favorite conversation
It must
piece.
be a Wednesday night. Well, okay. That's about all I had. At the end of every episode, I like to tease what I'm gonna do next week. I talked a little bit about bringing my TikTok audience into YouTube. This is a fun one for me because this is one of the first people I talked with on TikTok. He used to be big onto YouTube. He hasn't been in a while, but my next guest is going to be, if I can find it, right here. If I click the button, there we go. It's going to be Midsommar Director's Cut, Dan in Real Life, Blu-ray Dan. He used to make videos like 10, 12 years ago. And he's just kind of evolved his style over the years. He's Mr. A24 at the moment. He has every single release they've ever done. So I am very, very curious to pick his brain about Midsommar. And it made me, I've wanted to buy that set from A24 for the longest time. I actually bought it yesterday.
Oh, you did? Oh,
this
there
thing
it is.
Crazy. It has like a hardbound book feel. It looks cool. It's just very awkward. I don't know how I'm going to put it on the shelf yet. But
yeah, it almost looks bigger than a Blu-ray too. It looks
here.
like DVD size.
Look at that.
Yeah. Oh my, that's bigger than DVD.
Yeah.
Why is it
it's
so
its
big?
its own case, and like the outside case opens up to this. Just it's a very cool set, and I liked Midsommar for the most part, but I haven't seen the director's cut. The director's cut adds like 35-40 minutes into that movie.
Of what?
I don't know. I don't know, and that's what I'm nervous about. Like, I thought the movie was paced pretty well as is. It actually was a little slow for me at points.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
I'm
let you guys talk about it, but
I'm curious what an extra 40 minutes of that movie is going to be like.
yeah, I'm curious too now.
Yeah. Hall & Oates watched that cut recently. Very cool. Yeah, I'm very curious, and I've wanted to rewatch it ever since. I'm a big Hereditary fan. I love that movie.
I loved that movie, but I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it again. So
Yeah.
I've only seen it the one time.
I watched that movie opening weekend at the theater. Didn't know what we were walking into. I watched it with like a group of 4, and it's one of those rare times where you walk out of the movie theater in complete silence, just kind of like soaking in your thoughts. And then we got to our cars in the parking lot, and we just gushed for like an hour. And it was already midnight when the movie let out, and we just could not stop talking about it. One of my favorite movie-going experiences.
I wish I had somebody to talk to after I saw that. I watched it by myself. Yeah, and it was terrifying.
That movie's a lot to soak in. And
it really is, but there are like things that I kind of, because they have the hidden things in there, and depending on the TV that you watch it on, because the TV that I was watching it on, it was like really crushing the blacks. And they have some like things that go on in the background of that movie that you kind of need to see. And I feel like I missed some of that. And I saw it later when I would see like clips or movie stills or something. I'm like, well, when did that happen?
Yeah, like the gleaming light would be kind of hard to see, but then at like the very end where like there's naked people in a dark room, like it's pitch black in there, that would be very hard to see on a not so great TV. I could definitely see that.
Well, and there are some moments too where like people are literally crawling on the ceiling, and there's like one moment where like the brother is sitting in bed and he's just like doing his stair thing, and like somebody is literally up here in the ceiling, and I'm like, I totally missed that because it was like I couldn't see it on my TV. It's very disappointing. I need to watch it again, but like I said, I'm being a little baby about it.
There's a good reason for that too. That there are a couple scenes in there that I will not ever forget that are just cemented in my brain. I think I've seen it twice now, and the second time just kind of cemented the fact that it's like one of my favorite horror movies. And I know recently it's been very divisive. Like a lot of people don't like Hereditary, and I kind of want to talk to somebody who has an opposing opinion of that movie.
Well, Hereditary is kind of like the present day Exorcist. You know what I mean? Like, that you don't like it now, but it's going to be legendary later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would think it would only grow in its stature over time, but I feel like there's a lot more pushback to the movie than what there was even when it came out. So, yeah.
Because people watched it and it horrified them, and now they can't watch it again, like me.
God. And there are scenes in Midsommar. There's a couple of them that are just kind of up here in the noggin. And yeah, I have not rewatched that. I've only watched it once. So seeing the director's cut, in 4K, I'm very excited to pop that sucker on.
Yeah, that'll be a good watch.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it. Do you have any closing words, Mel? Do you want to plug anything?
No, I don't think I have anything going up. I'm Mel from My Killer Podcast. I'm also a part of the Rad Pack, so check out the Rad Pack on YouTube. I think last time I checked that we were like 3 people away or 3 subs away from 800 or something like that. So go check that out. It's fun. We talk all things nostalgia. And that's it. Like I just drop random videos on my YouTube whenever.
Yeah. No,
I'm very good about promoting myself. I'm like,
I'm terrible at it too. Whenever I go on anybody's live stream, they're like, okay, promote yourself. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry I just did that to you.
Right. Come watch me.
I know that you started talking about Vestron video on your site.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about we were literally talking about that earlier. Yeah, I just started a Vestron video series on my YouTube channel where I'm watching all the movies and doing a complete review of the entire collection. I have it all sitting right here. It's complete. And I'm just waiting for Blue Steel to come out, then I can pick that one up.
Yeah, personally, I'm very excited just to hear your thoughts on them because, like I said, I have not seen the majority of the releases I own from Vestron. So just to know what I'm getting myself into on the majority of these would have been nice with Blood Diner, but I walked into this one. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to hear your 2 cents on them.
I'm kind of curious as to what you would have thought if you just randomly watched that one on your own because you were picking up the series.
Well, that's one reason why I wanted to make a podcast like this. Like I wanted guests to come on, say, I really like this movie. I want you to watch it. Like I've seen Midsommar. That's the first movie I've seen that I've actually seen on this podcast before. I like just throwing movies on blind and talking with people about it. So yeah, I had a blast doing this, Mel. I'm very happy you put Blood Diner into my life because it wasn't even in my collection before.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad you liked it as much as you did. That would have been
It was a
unfortunate.
fun time. Yeah. And anybody that decides to watch it, just good luck. You're either going to love it or hate it. I can guarantee you that.
Yep, 100%.
Okay. This has been fun. Episode 2 of Boutique Talk. So until next time, I'll see you.
Bye.
Good night.